Just like people, governments must borrow when they spend more money than they receive. To do this, they issue bonds, which are effectively IOUs with a promise to repay the full amount and make regular interest payments. Government debt is the total sum of all this borrowed money. The debt ceiling, which Congress established a century ago, is the maximum amount the government can borrow. It essentially limits national debt. In 2021, US government debt was $28.5 trillion. That's about 29% more than the value of all goods and services that will be produced in the US economy that year, its GDP. Most of this is public debt, owned by US citizens and businesses, as well as state and local governments. But more than $7 trillion is owed to foreign sources, Japan and China being the largest bondholders. Once the US hits its debt limit, it can no longer borrow money, and the government can spend only its cash on hand and tax revenues. Before 1917, Congress would authorize the government to borrow a fixed sum of money for a specific term. When loans were repaid, the government couldn't borrow again until Congress permitted it. With the outbreak of the First World War, and a new need for then-President Woodrow Wilson to spend the money he deemed necessary to fight it, the rules were changed through the Second Liberty Bond Act. This created the debt ceiling and allowed a continual rollover of debt without congressional approval. Borrowing was limited to the billions of dollars, but that initial cap has been increased and suspended dozens of times since, now to the tens of trillions of dollars. Both parties in American politics are responsible for this. The debt limit was suspended 3 times under Donald Trump, who used it to fund his 2017 tax cuts and needed to borrow even more when the economy faltered under the COVID-19 pandemic. Both Joe Biden and Barack Obama took office with weakened economies, passing ambitious aid packages that required the government to borrow more. When the government can't pay all of its bills, it's technically in default, and some claim this would have dire economic consequences, such as soaring interest rates, stock market declines, and perhaps even an economic depression. The debt ceiling could technically be repealed, but this would require a rare supermajority vote in the deeply divided US Senate.